Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Is your PMS helping scale your business? 3 ways a modern PMS can future-proof your property. Presented by Stay in Touch. I'm your host, Frigola, and I'm joined by my presenter today, Sales Director at Stay in Touch, Ryan King. Ryan is a former hotelier with almost 20 years of experience that has spanned just about every department through the course of his hotel career. He worked at Travel Click, where he spent a good amount of time consulting with individual properties and large management groups, helping them find technology to improve RevPAR and increase profitability. He routinely helps organizations examine their processes and look for ways to improve performance. He has a love for technology that helps him discover new methods, enabling hoteliers to better engage their guests and thereby increase revenues through better service and marketing. With that said, we are going to go into 2 back-to-back audience poll questions. Or actually, let me introduce the webinar agenda to you guys before we get ahead of ourselves. We'll be discussing the flexibility for both guests and staff to interact and streamline the guest pre-stay and stay experience, how mobile PMS can streamline operational efficiencies, and the impact of easily accessing and capturing essential guest data at every touch point. And before we wrap things up, we will turn things over to the audience for a Q&A session, and Ryan will give you guys a look into our PMS with a little show and tell. Moving forward to our first audience poll question. I'm launching that now. Does your current PMS allow your staff flexibility in how they service guests? Give you guys about 15 seconds here, and then I'll launch the results. Another 5 seconds. And I am closing the poll, sharing the results. Does your PMS allow your staff flexibility in how they service guests? 80% say no, 20% say yes. So I'm guessing that's why you guys are here. All right, we'll move over to the next audience poll question. Does your current PMS enable housekeeping to change room status and access guest reservation information? Another 15 seconds here. All right, I am closing the poll and sharing the results. Does your current PMS enable housekeeping to change room status and access guest reservation information? 63% say yes and 38% say no. So it looks like you guys have a lot better, you guys are doing a lot better in that area. But with that said, I'm going to launch the actual presentation, turn things over to Ryan, who's going to help you better understand how mobile PMS can bring that level of flexibility and enhance your hotel's operations.
Great, thank you, Freen. I think it takes a moment for us to understand, where we are in the hotel industry when it revolves around technology. A lot of guests right now really want hotels to move into the 21st century and to do things where they're comfortable doing it with other parts of their travel experience or their retailing or online shopping experience. And think about this, right now, 42% of people globally have booked a hotel on a mobile phone. Now this number rises up to over 53% for the under 30 travelers. So we know these millennials that are coming to market, they're very big into mobile technology. This is something that is pushing hotels to be able to respond faster to what they want. 76% of travelers named the mobile device as their #1 travel accessory. This is twice as many people choosing to travel with their phone than their loved one. We all know we keep these ubiquitous devices with us. Our iPhones or Android is right next to us all the time. And we're using that to access information. Think of it this way. When we're in bed, we're also thinking about our next holiday or our next trip. Over a quarter of the people polled admitted to booking a hotel while in between the sheets. So people could be in your hotel right now and thinking about their next trip and looking at it on their mobile device. 42% of these people made a same-day hotel booking thanks to their mobile device, with even 14% even booking their hotel at the airport when they're getting ready to leave. So think of it this way: price isn't always the qualifying thing, as the right payment method and customer reviews are now becoming more important than price according to travelers. So where does this put us? This puts us into meeting the demands of these travelers. And it's really about how are we giving the guest choice that they want, and how do we improve that in the guest journey on arrival and departure. This is a very critical step that is making a big splash nowadays in the hotel industry. And what really our guests are looking for and what they want is they want some options. And so think about this: your digital check-in option, you should be able to give guests a digital check-in option just like the airlines do now. And that process should be very attentive and should be very personalized for them. It should be equal to a highly attentive staff-assisted check-in at your hotel. So think of some of the things that we want to ask. We want to ask the guests for details and keep our staff informed. We want to know when is the guest arriving. We want to know if they need anything else. Do they not like feather pillows? Do they want a warm bottle of water in the room when they arrive? Is the address and the contact information correct that we have on file for them? This will be important later as we understand more about our guest. And then finally, we want that assurance that everything we've communicated is received by the hotel and that our room is going to be ready when we arrive. So think of it this way: if I tell you at 3 o'clock that I'm arriving and I go through my phone, I want to know that you've received that. So if I get a message at 2:30 that says, Ryan, your room's available, and it has my room number and it gives me the option to pick up my key at the desk or give me a digital key right there on my phone, this is a reassurance to me as a traveler that you know me, and I feel more compelled to trust you and book again. So this is very important as we talk about our digital guest journey. And think of it this way: Gartner Research did a study, and what they found out in the travel industry was that 72% of consumers have a more positive view of a company if it provides a mobile service experience. So how do we bring some flexibilities and efficiencies to your operations? When we start talking about mobile PMSs, I want to highlight a few different things. The first thing I want to talk about is really the experience that happens in the hotel. Imagine, if you will, that you no longer needed to go to a desk to access the information in your PMS. Let that sink in for a moment. You can access the information in your PMS anywhere you are. So as a sales manager, you can be at a trade show and you can actually look at availability and rates and inventory real time into your system. As a revenue manager, you can leave on Friday afternoon and still check in the hotel a few hours later to see, did I sell those last remaining rooms on Saturday? What's going on Monday? Do I need to put any future restrictions on? All of this information can be accessed anywhere that you have a device and a Wi-Fi connection. So you can instantly react to different changes based on what's happening at that moment in time. As a general manager, I would be thrilled that I can leave the hotel, I can be at a conference or I can be on vacation, and I can look on my phone in between breaks or while I'm sitting on the beach and see what is happening real time in the property. What's going on with my hotel while I'm not there. There's some great efficiencies that happen when you are able to get away from having a stationary device. So here we are, we're in a mobile world. Think of the possibilities. So I'll highlight housekeeping. For a housekeeping department, they can have access to the mobile device and they can be on the floor working. No longer do they need to write down whether they cleaned a room. No longer do they need to punch that in through the phone so that somebody can be sitting at a desk to see that that's done, to run up to the floor to inspect the room. You don't have to have that leg. These can be instantly happening in real time. A housekeeper could be on the floor and a guest could be locked out of their room, and the housekeeper could bring up that guest's room and see that they are attached to that room and verify that their information is correct. All of the things that can now start happening. You could have somebody instantly respond to things that are needed to be cleaned. Imagine, if you will, the housekeeper walks into the room, the light bulb is out, and they see that it's done. They write it down, they put it on the housekeeper's desk. I'm sure this has happened to you. We get a call, the guest says the light bulb's out. Happened to my hotel, and I had the best housekeepers, I think, in the city of DC. Now instead, what the housekeeper can do is they can actually put the room quickly out of service by flipping a button. They can notate that the light bulb is out by the bed. That alerts engineering, who can run someone from maintenance up, replace that light bulb, and the guest will never know. And this is all through the fact that you're on mobile devices, walking through the hotel, being on the property, and instantly responding to communication. Now, the other part about this is, how does this free you up from helping your guests? So the front office staff no longer needs to stand with a barrier between them and the guest. That traditional piece of furniture or that barricade that we have that makes that impersonal approach between you and your guest, we can get rid of that. As a front desk person, I can actually stand next to my guest. I can talk to the guest. If I need to, I can take the guest over to another area and have a conversation with them. Think of walking through a guest as they're checking in and turning the iPad to them and saying, this is the rooms that I have available for you, but I also have a couple upgrades if you like, and just letting the guest make that decision. So much better to allow the guest that choice and control rather than the front desk trying to push something on them. This really helps you better manage your guest expectations and can help you improve the experience that your guests are having with your front office. And your front office can see what's happening in other departments at the same point in time. If there are no clean rooms, they can see if there's a room out of inventory that needs a light bulb. They can make the decision to get that room actioned quicker by seeing what's happening in real time. So these are some things on how this can happen with the mobility features that are happening in your hotel. But a PMS also needs to be a very strong component of capturing data for your guest. So you really need to understand what's happening in the hotel. You need to see things such as, how did my guest purchase their room? Where did they come in from? When did they book this room in relative to when are they arriving? Utilizing this type of insight is going to give you the ability to remarket to your guests and to send offers to those that will be more inclined to purchase them. You might give someone a third night free if you've seen that they spend in your bar, your restaurant, your spa, because you know you're going to collect other money there. This is also going to give you opportunities to understand who's purchasing things like an early check-in, who is upgrading their rooms, because they may be more inclined to purchase a package with a premium room type. So this really gives you the ability to know and better manage what type of offers you're offering out to each guest. One of the things that I think is really paramount in today's technology, and something that the airline industry has really nailed, is these moments during the welcoming process to upgrade and upsell the inventory that you have available. And think about it this way. I worked in a hotel where I thought we had a pretty good plan in place with the front desk agents, and we tried to get them to upsell all of our corner rooms. They were about 75 square feet bigger. They were a premium choice, and we ran a contest every month, and we even gave the front desk agent a free dinner. At most, we would get 4 upgrades a month. And I was always so disappointed. Imagine if technology enabled the guest to make that choice. When they are checking in, the guest can actually see what other rooms are available for them. And for a nominal fee, they can make the choice and decide that they want to upgrade. We see this happening in our customers all the time, and we see the technology working with great advantage to properties that are clearly thinking this out and have a plan in place to capture more of that incremental revenue. Not only is the property benefiting, but the guests that are doing this are having a better experience with the hotel and are more likely to post a better review on TripAdvisor and give more feedback to the property and inclined to stay again on their next journey. When you think of it, regardless of how a customer is acquired, whether that's through an OTA or your direct booking, every time a guest walks into your hotel, it's an opportunity for you to convert them into a loyal customer and get them to come back again. You're 14 more times likely to sell an existing happy customer than to sell to a new one. If you can provide a superior experience to a new guest that is coming through your property and meet them in this new digital frontier, you are going to see your revenues excel. So I think what will be really beneficial at this point is to take a look under the hood so that you can understand what the guest journey could look like and then what the staff looks at. Let's look at the first portion of this by going through what a guest journey looks like when a guest wants to check in. What I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to share with you what my phone looks like. And so that you can walk through with me, here's my iPhone. And I'm looking at my email that just came in and it says Wexford Bay welcomes you. When I click on this, it's going to go ahead, it's going to prompt me to start my check-in. Now all of this can be configured to your brand voice. And as we walk through the steps, you'll see I'm going into URL. There's no apps to download. That is a barrier of adoption. I'm going to put in the date that I'm departing, and then I'm going to put in the last 4 digits of my credit card that I used to book the room with. And when I continue, as we talked about, oops, let me go ahead. I think I got that wrong. 4. There we go. And as we continue, you'll see it's coming up. It's recapping my stay dates, my room, everything that I have. I'm accepting my terms and conditions. And as I go through, we're going to walk through 3 impulse shopping moments. This is what we were talking about, is giving your guests some choice and some control over their experience in your hotel while monetizing some of this welcome experience. So I can look at different rooms that are available for upgrades. There's an ability for me to read more about the rooms, see the pictures. I can select that upgrade, and it's going to change my reservation to upgraded. So I see that's happening now. I'll get the additional upgraded posted. The original rate stays the same. As I walk through to the next moment, now the hotel's asking, when am I going to arrive? So as I look at this, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell the hotel that I will be there at 1 o'clock. And I want to let them know that I don't like feather pillows. This is a big thing for me, as I am allergic to feather pillows. And in every hotel nowadays, I always seem to run across this. So now I have ability to communicate to the desk or housekeeping, whoever you want this to go to, and I'm telling them when I'm going to be there. My next impulse shopping moment is the ability to collect early check-in revenue. Now you don't have to do this if you don't want to. It's completely revenue management yieldable, and you can have different prices for different times of the day. But it's telling me that the standard check-in time's 9. If I'm on my phone, I am more inclined to do this if I want to guarantee getting into that room. I don't want to roll the dice when I get to the hotel and hope they have a room for me. I want to guarantee it because I have a meeting later that day. Now the last impulse shopping moment is 100% configurable by you. This goes to your location, your preferences, anything else that you want to put in here. You can have a spa appointment, you can have a bicycle rental, you can even just have a snack basket. Somebody that's arriving late at night might appreciate having a bucket of beers left in their room, and if they can do it right here when they're getting ready to travel to the hotel, it's another revenue source for you, as well as a positive experience for the guest with your hotel. So this is how the welcome process goes. The departure process, very similar. Instead of having to stuff those envelopes underneath the hotel any longer, the guests can get an email that you send out to them. They put in their room number. I'm hoping this is my room number. I'm doing this off memory. Okay, and then here's the process where they can decide if they're checking out right now or if they need more time. If I have a meeting that I know runs till 2:30, if the hotel is allowing me to, I want to see if I can check out later. You know what? $15 for me to leave at 4 p.m. Sold. This way I can get back from my meeting, I can change my clothes, zip up my suitcase, and I can head off to the airport. I'm happy, the hotel's happy, housekeeping just got notified that I am leaving later. I can now go ahead, I can look at my bill, I can see any charges that I have. This is room and tax to a master, so I'm only paying my incidentals. I'm going to accept those charges. A copy of the folio is being emailed to me, and this has been communicated to the front desk and housekeeping at the same time. So that's part of the guest journey. It's a really beautiful way to enable you to provide a more positive experience to what's happening with your guests. So now let's talk about what your staff is looking at. Your staff is going to go into the system and they are going to get a chance to look here into Rover. Now, Rover is a mobile-based platform. We were made and designed as tablet first and everything else second. So you'll see as I shrink my screen, we have a responsive design, even down to a mobile phone, which has a slightly different look. And inside Rover, the first thing you've probably noticed is that this is a very different look than you've seen before. It's clean and elegant in design. It brings about a calmer experience to a rushed front desk agent and allows them to have all of the information they need at their fingertips. Menu bars off to the side give some basic information that become brought in at any point in time. You can look at things like availability, house counts, group counts. You can also look across to the different modules in the hotel that you need to do things. As we go down and through, you can quickly see some basic stats in here. And unlike other systems that you may have used before, we use a super search that allows you to define information, and the more information you type in, the more it's going to bring up. So as you see, I typed in KI to look up a reservation for Ryan King, but it's bringing up any definitions that I have here. And when I dial down further, you can see how it starts to sort the information. This makes it very easy to find information quickly and for the agent to make sure their attention is focused on a guest during the time that they're talking to them. I'm going to go ahead and just walk through, grab one of these reservations. You know, we had talked a little bit about collecting information and how that works. And you'll see in our system, we keep with this clean design queue. So you can see when you're going through checking in a guest, it keeps things very simple so that the agent can see what's here. They can see notes related. If there's an action, this would appear in red. If the action was completed, it would appear in green. We're collecting information about that guest, some basic information about who they are, where they're coming from. Likes are configurable by the hotel property with anything they want to know. Past credit card and information is stored, as well as any loyalty program information if you're a Stash or a preferred hotel and resort, airline information. And then we also have notes for the hotels. So that's a little bit about how the information is collected here. Now the last piece I kind of wanted to walk into, which I think you'll find interesting, is the housekeeping side. So front desk and housekeeping can communicate in real time. As we talked about, we made that late checkout here in room 108 for Charlie Brown, and now housekeeping sees that this is a late checkout. They'll be able to know that they don't have to knock on that door. Once the system updates, it will actually update a time if I put the time in that I was leaving. You can clearly see stay through rooms. As you can also see rooms that are inspected. And remember, these colors are running throughout. So quickly, from a visual standpoint, you can get a snapshot. It's easy to manage housekeeping tasks inside Rover. You can go ahead and see what tasks are done for the day, what that time is going to be. You can get this set up. And clearly you can quickly see, hey, I have total of 17 rooms with daily cleanings. That's going to take 8.5 hours of staff time. That means I'll need 2 staff members. I also have deep cleanings, 34 different tasks. That's going to take me just shy of 6 hours. So easily able to see at a glance what needs to happen. In my last hotel, the housekeeping manager would come in the morning and print out everyone's task assignments. And by the time they rolled out an hour and a half later, the assignments would already be stale because things would happen, rooms would have to be rushed, things would get turned around. Here, we promote using mobility as a way for the housekeeping department to be in real time. I can auto-assign these tasks, and it brings over the different tasks for the different housekeepers I have. I can see that Rosa was assigned 15 tasks. That should take her 3 hours and 45 minutes. She's here for an 8.5 hour shift. I now know I can add things on or take things away. I can drag and drop information over here very easily. And when I'm ready, I can save this out. Now, with the mobility piece, we promote that the housekeepers utilize their device or a device that you give them. They can use their phone, you can give them an iPod Touch or whatever you want to, and they can get their own assignments. And they can see what has to happen for their tasks for the day and communicate them as they go. Let me show, I'm just gonna shrink this for a moment and show you kind of what this might look like. So here I am, if I'm looking at my assignments, I could see that this room was dirty. I can flip into it. I can see the different tasks assigned to me to do it. I can also, as we talked about, I can flip a room out of service that will alert engineering, and I can put my notice and I can say that the light bulb is out by bed. This allows this seamless communication to happen, and when you look back onto that dashboard, now we can see one room is out of service, someone from engineering, even housekeeping, or from the front desk can see that the light bulb is out, and that's why this room is out of service. You can then easily get these things corrected before a guest checks in. So that's a quick view of Rover and some of the capabilities that we have. You'll see it's very different than you've probably experienced before, and it's designed to help you evolve into the 21st century.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Ryan. I think that was a really good prelude to what we do weekly here, which is a live demo of our Rover PMS. We'll go a little deeper there. If you guys want to join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m., you will get a follow-up email prompting you to maybe join one of those weekly demos or get a personal tour of our PMS. With that said, Brian, I did want to ask a couple of questions from the audience before we close things out. One being, we talked about the importance of not just guests, but your staff having access to the PMS, that they have visibility into data, important information, things that they need to know along the way in order to help streamline the guest experience and operations on the back end. With that said, what if hotels are concerned with employees having access to too much info?
That is a great question. So it's essential to think about who you want to have access, and we are a permission-based platform. So you can give a front desk supervisor more insight into what they can do in the system versus a front desk agent versus a housekeeper. So for instance, a housekeeper may never be able to see the payment method or address or anything, but they could see the name on the reservation and the room reservation. Whereas a front desk agent may be able to take off a minibar charge, but cannot make a modification to the room charge. That would be the housekeeping or the front desk supervisor. So permission-based users for everyone in the system.
That's great to hear. This is another one for you. What if we don't want to charge for early check-ins? Do we have to go through the whole check-in process?
Oh, another really good question. So we have a highly configurable platform. Rover and Zest, which is the guest-facing application, can be configured to run how you want things to operate in your operation. If you don't want to charge for early check-ins, then don't. We'll just take that step out. If you don't want to have the ancillary revenue collections, then don't. Take that piece out. They can be used in tandem, separately, or in different fragments. You can even have it that maybe on Mondays you're offering upgrades, but on Tuesdays you're not.
And here's another one. How far ahead can you offer early check-in?
Another good question. Early check-in can be configured based on what your process is. You can send it out the day of, you can send it out at a specific time in the morning, or you can send it out up to 24 hours in advance. So it just depends on how you want that put together.
Right. Do we have to download an app or is it web-based?
No apps are necessary. Everything's done web-based. We've put a lot of thought into this, and we know that making it easy to use is a critical component of how you access information.
All right, that's awesome. I want to thank our audience for sticking with us the whole way through, and especially thank you, Ryan, for giving us some good insight. I think you gave them a little bit more on the show and tell side than we expected, but I think they've got some great insight and a great look into our product. So with that said, everyone have a good day, and I hope you join us next time.
Thanks.